All right. Hi.
Hi, Megan. Love from far, far away.
Love to you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 6 of Duende Discussions, podcast where we explore Lorca's Duende. My very special guest is my beloved duder, Katie Sims. Hello, how are you?
I am so good. I'm just like oozing with just delight that
Who's
I get to
already a poetic word already.
just just like beyond any time spent with you is just delicious and
Oh,
um
delicious ooze. This is going to be so
oozing. Yes.
poetic and visceral with you. I can already tell.
Yeah. I mean, like something I was thinking about right before we jumped on was like, well, there's been so many amazing moments with you, like when we went and we did the playwriting retreat in Colorado, but then like smaller things like there was a time where we would like try to write poems together and not try, we just started writing. Like I would do a line through text and then you
Yes,
would
I
text me
forgot about that.
and like more of that, please, because that was
Yes,
just,
let's do that. Let's do
yeah.
it again.
Yeah.
It's like what's that game? Exquisite Corpse. Have you ever played that? That's what we were doing, but with poetry. It's where you draw a like you fold up pieces of paper, like a piece of paper, and you
Yes.
draw like a head and
Yes.
fold over and you turn it to
Mhm.
somebody else and they draw the neck and then you fold it over and they don't know what they're seeing from before. So that when
Yes.
you open the like accordion piece of paper, it's like this exquisite, it's like a beautiful gangly monster of all these different images. And
Mm,
it's yes, we were doing that, but with poems. So
yeah.
hello everyone. Katie is a poet extraordinaire, incredible writer. She was, were you weren't my student, but you were my in my TA. I was a TA at USC.
Yeah.
We
Yeah,
met
yeah.
at
I was in your class. Yeah.
my student. I don't think you were ever my student, but
Well, at the time, I didn't really know the difference between class. Like to me, it was class.
yeah.
Like you were my TA, but like I think my first introduction to you was even before you were my TA. I went to go see. I no, I worked on crew for Sing Me a Song to Swim to.
Yes. My
Um,
epic whale mystical weird play directed by Olan Jones.
Yes, it was. That's when I fell in love with you, and I had to like I had to like scoot the like glow in the dark fish across the stage. Yeah.
You were the scooter.
Yes,
The-
I scooted. I scooted your fishies like backstage. It was so.
Wait, did you sing too? Didn't she have you guys sing?
Mm,
There were
I don't
songs, you
know.
guys. It was a play with songs.
It was so good.
And I thought you sang maybe. Maybe I just wanted you to sing.
It's possible, but I think
Or
it's possible, but no, I just remember, crewing it and like listening to Jesse
Lindsay.
and Lindsay. Yeah. And
So you guys, Katie is an incredible poet, an incredible friend. If you remember from episode 4 of Duende Discussions, when I was talking about seeing the incredible Sabina Zuniga Varela in Mojada at the Public Theater, and I was sobbing profusely at the end, Katie
Mhm.
was with me, rubbing my back, trying to
You
leave,
up the floor.
picking me up, trying to get me out of the theater. Thank you for that. So not only are you a magical artist, you are also an incredible friend and supporter of sobbing women in front rows.
As a sobbing woman, I would I know I'm deeply connected. It's a deeply rooted thing, and it's beautiful. It's that's why you go to the theater to have catharsis.
Yes.
I mean, and theater, reaches out and grabs your wrist in ways that I think poetry can do,
Hmm.
certainly, but it's yeah. Mm. Oh, come back to New York. Let's do that again,
Do it
please.
again. Let's sob all over Broadway. Um,
We'll be like, get them out of here.
We paid $500 to sob in the front row. Let us stop.
It was well worth it. That was a beautiful
Yeah,
piece.
she's incredible.
Yeah.
So you, I like to describe you as a conjurer of the ecstatic
Mm.
and the erotic
Mm.
in your work and just in life. You're a very visceral person. You're a big proponent of human connection,
Mm.
touch, and
Mm.
um, a provocateur of flavor language. I feel
Mm.
like there's a lot of flavor. I mean, we already said the word ooze and delicious.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be a little gross.
Yeah.
It's like perfume. It's like the bottom note is like dead animal, but like the top note is rose. Like, I mean, there's like I want all of it. Like
Yeah.
I want my poems to be like a little bit like sexy, grotesque, kind of dirty. I've been
I'm
saying
obsessed with
lately,
that sexy grotesque. That's like your brand. That's like if you ever have a clothing line, that's what it is. Sexy grotesque by Katie.
well, lately I've been saying I'm a horny jock poet because um yeah, because I mean, I would hope. I mean, I'm trying to be more muscular as like a it's like you're building muscles so that you can it's almost like you build a muscle so that you can be more restrained. It's
Hmm.
like it's kind of antithetical. Um because
Like
sometimes
working within limits to be more liberated in a way.
um what do I mean? Like when I don't know if you find this when you're writing poems, but I feel like there's like this first pass sometimes where you're just like channeling and you're like receiving and you're like letting it out. And
Mhm.
then maybe when you're editing, there's a pulling back process. Like you're like, that's a
For sure.
distraction, or like that's a different poem. Because sometimes the poems come in multiples and they're not supposed to go together. So
I
it's
do
like,
that
how
all
do
the time. Yeah.
yeah, you're like, wait a minute,
Always
wait,
more first. Always
right.
more first. And then you take away. I
Yeah.
just did that with an essay.
Yeah.
Writing I wrote an academic kind of essay
Oh,
and I wrote like 35 pages and
yeah.
and
Stamina.
my editor was like, Megan, take a deep breath. I had to cut 8 pages. And I was like, it's okay. I'm fine. It's okay. But yeah, I totally do that as well. Excess first, and then I mean, they always say writing is rewriting, you know.
Mhm. But then sometimes the inverse is true, where sometimes you just get like a there's like a small window and then it's done. And then
Mhm.
you're like, oh, it's done. And to touch it or try to manipulate it any other way would just be to almost Frankenstein it. Like it's, I don't know. So I guess I mean muscular in terms of like you try to be expansive enough and pay attention enough to
Mhm.
receive,
Mhm.
and then try not to you try to get out of the way.
Mhm.
like um
Yeah. Okay. So I want to
yes,
get into that.
Duende.
Duende. Yes. So people who are listening, maybe for the first time, to hear our very lovely special guest. This is a podcast that explores Spanish playwright and poet Federico Garcia Lorca's concept of duende. So, duende is interpreted many different ways,
Mm,
but I like to describe it as a visceral art energy that
mm,
is conjured when your soul confronts its most authentic self. It's in this supernatural folklore, it's like a little goblin, little troll. But in Lorca's version, in the Spanish version, it's like that beast of inspiration that's inside of you that you conjure when you're having an authentic creative moment.
mm.
That's how I like to describe it. And that's very visceral. It's very, it's something that is, I like to say, both blessed and bloody. So it has a kind of like that Dionysian duality of dark and light.
Sexy and grotesque.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that's my definition. And he famously did a lecture called On the Theory and Play of Duende in Buenos Aires in 1933, where we get a lot of his thoughts on Duende. But what do you think of it as? How would you define it?
I mean, I'm new to that term. I mean, I
Mhm.
think the naming of it, um, I wrote I wrote some notes.
Yeah.
But like uh I mean, I think it's just that it's based on what you sent and what our discussions on it, like it thinking of it as a beast is interesting. I again like with the channeling, I thought of it as more of like it's like the dropping in when you're either creating something or you're witnessing something as like the reader, the audience, or the listener.
Mhm.
It's like the great mystery suddenly for a second you understand it and then it goes away.
Yeah.
It's like
Like a flash.
yeah, it's a flash
Mhm.
and it can still work on you after. Like it can alter you.
Mhm.
It has the power to alter, I would say. Either as the maker or as the maker receiver or as someone who's maybe then retroactively like taking in the work.
Mhm.
But
So
it's
when you say alt, oh, sorry, I interrupted you. Go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. Altered. And what I mean by altered is
Chemical,
like
like an alchemist, like.
I would yeah, like the work itself, whatever you're translating or receiving. But then I think you, the artists, are also altered
Mhm. For sure.
because how could you not
Right.
be?
Mhm.
Although that doesn't mean to say that like your inner beast or your life force
Mhm.
and your shadow
Mhm.
maybe like simultaneously like that doesn't mean that you won't be altered again in the same direction. Like maybe it's something
Sure.
you have to hear and like receive and learn multiple many times,
Mhm.
but hear it in different ways. The other thing that I thought was interesting is that I think Lorca was saying that it's more attributable this duende to a body.
Right.
So like it might come forth and announce itself through song or dance or spoken word,
Mhm.
oral oral storytelling. And I thought that was really interesting because ultimately I think if the body is an instrument, I can't help but to, as a singer
Right.
and an actor, like this is also canvas,
Mhm.
um, or like a receptor of God.
Right.
Yeah. And also if you think of like collective consciousness, it's just like we're all these like little brains like tapped into each other, and so it's just
Mhm.
about like that's why they always say like if you have the idea, like try to get to it because so if you don't, somebody else will. It's like,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know, so it's like though of course I guess with Duende, maybe your particular beast, it's gonna present its your work is gonna present a little bit differently than like say how the idea or the Duende might show up for someone else. But I think the feeling is the same. I think the impact is this.
Yes. Yes. And that transformative process, is that I'm interested in how that works within you when you write,
Mm-hmm.
because your poems are so visceral and so felt by the body. Like I
Mm-hmm.
feel like when I read your poems, like I am inside a body, like
Wow.
and like and so it's I wouldn't say that it's exhausting is the not the right word, but it's like energetic,
Mm-hmm.
dynamic. Like Sabina described Duende as dynamic. So is that energy, is it exhausting for you? Like, let's say if you, when you write poems, have you ever conjured Duende that has taken a toll on your body when you're writing about the body so viscerally?
Mm. I mean, I guess it depends. It depends on like the source I'm drawing from or
Mm.
how I felt when it's interesting because as I'm getting further, like a lot of my earlier works were compulsive.
Mm, mhm.
They were like almost at the time I had met somebody and I was like writing compulsively about the embodied longing that I had.
Mhm.
So that was taxing insofar as there was no release.
Mm.
um,
Even writing the poems about it would not, even getting the words out was
it
not
almost,
enough for release.
no, it almost made the longing. It was proof of longing. It was almost like I was trying to make sure I wasn't insane. It was like it almost, I mean, in some ways it was a release, but in many ways it almost it crystallized. It like was evidence of um and I could revisit it. It like
Did you ever, did it help ever to read the poems out loud, like to speak out that longing?
oh yeah.
Yeah.
That is yeah, I think sometimes I get insecure because I feel like because of my background, but I think that I'm getting better at feeling confident about my poems on the page
Mhm.
on their own, but I
Mhm.
always feel like my poems benefit from my voice.
Yeah.
Um, and like the performance because there is a musicality that I bring just because of the singing and the writing music and the cadences and the sort of all of
So
that. But
listeners, just Katie has a background in acting and singing, just so everybody knows. Yeah.
it trickles in. I feel like you can't like everything that you have your whole life comes with you
Mhm.
when you're making. It's not it's pretty hard to leave something behind if you're
I
doing it right.
agree.
It's like
Poetry is, it's it is musical and it does have a rhythm. And I love how in your poems there is a journey, like a rhythmic journey to it. So
yeah.
does your, so did that play into like your musical knowledge? Does that play into the way that you write, or is it just a visceral thing? Like you're not consciously like, I'm going to make this sound rhythmic here, or is it just viscerally like innate in you?
I think there's I think there's music running through my head and my body and my brain like
Mm.
pretty often. Like I remember like this is going to be I don't want this to turn into a tangent, but I would play I used to play soccer.
Wait, have we
And
talked about this? So did I.
yeah, we were soccer babies, like grew up
Yeah.
playing. Yeah, center mid.
I was right mid.
Okay, yeah. I played a lot. Yeah,
They're
we're
very
playmakers. We
control. Yeah.
we set it up. Okay, so like when I would play, like I would always have a soundtrack in my head.
Oh,
Like I was jamming out. Like
what would you listen to?
I don't know. I
What
mean, like
songs were in your head?
knowing me, I mean, I grew up on because of the Midwest, like country and like pop and like I whatever my parents, were like having me listen to. Maybe some cranberries if I was like lucky, if it was a little bit moody, a rainy soccer day. Um,
This is
but
another
I
tangent.
don't know.
That just reminded me, I would prep by meditating and listening to Enya. Before, before I played soccer, I was so anxious to play because it
Oh,
was so competitive in
yeah,
Southern California in the 90s that I
yeah.
had to listen to friggin' Enya to calm myself down. Anyways,
I
so
mean, kind of brilliant though. I love that you knew how to regulate. I had
mhm.
no idea how to regulate when I was a kid. No idea.
Anyways, but
I'm
country
still,
music is probably better. Kind of gets you in the mood or
I don't know, but
good
yeah,
for
like
competition.
yeah. But anyway, no, it's interesting. So I think a lot of my early stuff was I think also when you're forced through an acting program to, memorize a sonnet and like do Shakespeare. I did Beatrice, and Much Ado, like junior year, I think, or whatever. But that forces you to like, I think iambic is just
Oh,
like it's
musical,
there.
yeah.
It's
Hmm.
like in you when you have to really like, and I think a lot of actors would probably say it's like once you interact and you put it, especially Beatrice, because she's so like that, like she thinks faster than I think. Um,
I was just listening to David Tennant has a podcast, and he was talking about when he was in Much Ado that Beatrice has is the fastest talker in all of Shakespeare.
and I don't even feel like I probably got up to her BPM. What is it? Like, I don't think I even got,
Yeah.
I don't even think I probably even unlocked in totality how quickly
Yeah.
I think, because she's so, so brilliant. I
Yeah.
mean,
Love her.
I think when you, so I don't know, like I didn't go to an MFA program. I don't, and this is another thing where it's like I don't necessarily have form, but form has me.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't, it's
Yeah.
non-traditional, but I think a lot of it's innate. But so that's how it started with music and Shakespeare and like the performative aspect, which is why spoken word was like the first way in, and then getting onto the page and away from like needing to rely on performance has been interesting. I'm actually like moving more into like prose poetry
Oh,
lately.
oh.
Um, but I did a couple readings lately, and oh gosh, Megan, it's
You
like
did?
when it's in you, it's in you. It's like, oh God, I miss this. Like, it's like interfacing. It's like when you
Mhm.
with it with it's dialogue. It's
Right.
dialoguing in a way that like being on the page, being restricted to page has its own,
Mhm.
you know, thrust,
Yeah.
but being engaged in a dialogue and feeding off the energy and using it's just so different. So now I'm going back almost. So it's interesting.
That's amazing. I love that. I love that idea of swirling in time to
Mhm.
the
It's a
different
spiral. It's
skills.
like,
Yeah, the different skills of
mhm.
your performance repertoire. So when you perform your poetry, do you feel like that duende, that sexy grotesque? Like, do you launch into it? Do you ever feel self-conscious about, because your work is very provocative to people who might not be used to erotic poetry. Um, so I mean, it's beautiful.
I mean, it's
I wouldn't say that it's like, something that people would censor ever, but it's
some of it maybe.
very sexy. Yeah.
I
So,
wrote a piece recently called With Both Fists that's pretty graphic.
yes.
It's I try to fluff the audience a little bit. I try to at least let them know what they're headed for, but I think it's best just to jump in and see.
Yeah.
I like the one thing I would take from like acting, it's like I used to, when I was a young actor, I wanted to feel it. I really wanted to feel it. And like I remember, I think it was Paul Backer, or
Oh,
he said, just jump in. You'll get there. You'll find it or you won't. But just say the words, you
I
know?
love that. Yes.
Yeah,
Duende. That reminds me of, have you ever seen, did we watch? So you guys, when we went to a playwrights retreat in Creede, Colorado
the
in
best.
2017, during the Me Too movement, the rise, I remember the marches were like that weekend.
Yeah.
We flew on a very small plane
Oh, it's
from,
scary.
from Denver to Creede, Colorado, which is like a historical town in the snow it was historic, like it was one of the first towns in the West to like, there was a lot of shit went down in the Wild West in Creede. Like
Did
a
like
lot of
gold mining or
gold mining,
something.
violence,
Yeah.
definitely probably has some Wild West hauntings there. But
Yeah.
we
Some
stayed in
there
this
will be
beautiful,
blood stuff.
yes. But it was kind of empty when we were there because it was the dead of winter. It was beautiful, the snow. It was a small town, us and our cute, talented friend Giselle.
Oh,
And we stayed in uh, one of the one of the theater company members' condos. Would you call that a condo?
house. I think it was
House?
a
House,
yeah,
yeah. Yeah, it was a house.
yeah.
I don't know what I'm talking about. I've had too much chocolate.
Yeah.
Um, we were watching movies. We watched
Yes.
movies about writers and poets,
Yes.
and I don't think we got to Bright Star. Have you seen
Oh,
Bright
Jane
Star?
Campion.
Jane Campion about
Bits and pieces.
Keats and Fanny Brawne, his muse
Oh,
and
yes.
partner, love partner. Keats is a romantic poet, English poet who died at 24, I think, from tuberculosis, I think. Type, yeah, that was the disease that was rampant during that time, 1830s, I want to say. I
It's
could be
great.
wrong. But it reminded me when you said just jump in,
Mhm.
that the way that he described poetry in that movie, his character, he's teaching Fanny Brawne how to, is that her name? Yeah, Fanny. I think he's teaching her how to uh how to write a poem. And he said something like when you are trying to think of a poem, when you're trying to come up with the words and describe a feeling, it's like going into, like immersing yourself into a refreshing lake. And you don't try to work out the science of the lake, like how the water, you don't, how the water makes sense scientifically or physically. You don't try to explain the water. You just try to feel the water. I think it's something like that. That was the way that he was describing it. So when you said jump in, it reminded me of that, that like it's so, because what I love about your poetry, it does feel like you're jumping into bodies. Like it's just very visceral. And but it does have it does have a specific journey of like knowing, like an intimate knowledge of the other person. I feel like it's very intimate, your poems. Yeah.
I feel like I feel like I feel like when poets write, they're writing to like one or two people. It's
Hmm.
like very specific, or to themselves.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and I think in terms of like the graphic or not graphic, that's the thing. I think when I was younger, I think there were a few reasons why I started writing smut. One, I was falling in lust, falling in love.
Hmm.
Two, I had just come out and I was totally just alienated by the lack, candidly, of gay porn that was out there. It was still like it was still pervasively like male gazy. It wasn't
Hmm.
interesting to me. And I thought to myself, okay, women's or queer sexuality can be like a suggestion. You don't really need images dictated. In fact, like that's part of the great thing about reading erotica is that you're dropping in yourself into the narrative like you do with any book. So
Hmm.
you're an active participant. And I liked the intimacy of that. I thought that was way sexier than like watching something that
Right.
was just
Because the
a
imagination is sexier than.
oh yeah. And like so if I could just give like a sexy little suggestion, I thought that that would be a gift
Hmm.
in a way, or a liberation, or a provocation. Um, so that was sort of the beginning of the reason why, and it's changed over the years. But yeah, initially that was the impulse. I think those were the impulses I was following, and then it always changes into something else.
That's beautiful.
Yeah,
I I I love that about that jumping in, that putting yourself into the narrative and then sharing, like you said, a gift, sharing that with us. And so no holds no holds barred. Is that what it's called? No, the phrase.
so, I think so. Yeah,
Yeah.
but the
Just basically
Duende,
like
yeah,
going for it, you know? And I
yeah,
feel like that's a big part of Duende is just launching yourself into the thing that one of the, I always bring this up in the podcast, so forgive me, listeners, for saying it again, but I love, my favorite part is, one of my favorite parts is when Lorca says that Duende exists. Duende will not appear unless there's the possibility of death. And that could be the death of, I'm not sure. Maybe it is literal death. Maybe that is what Duende is for some artists, like the danger of their creation, but also the death of ego, the death of who you were before.
yeah.
And I feel like with the work that you do, or even just writing a poem, you do have to, well, you don't have to, but I think for poetry that resonates with me and poetry that I find moving is that you do lose a sense of self. It is this Dionysian ecstasy that you forget about the world around you and you just let the magic and the mystical kind of enrapture you. And that's why I love like Emily Bronte is one of the most duende poets
Yeah.
ever. And you know, Wuthering Heights is coming back because Emerald Fennell, the director who directed Saltburn and Promising Young Woman, she's directing a new version of it. So people are talking about it again. But her poetry, a lot of people don't really know her poetry. And her poetry was very, she has this incredible poem called The Prisoner, where it's like she it's my interpretation of it is that it's like the acceptance of death is like a divine right in a way. And I mean, those women on those moors, they thought about death a lot. It was all around them. But the idea that it was like something like almost like Saint Teresa of Avila. Have you ever read any of her stuff? She was an ecstatic saint, almost like I wouldn't go so far as to say pornographic, but very sexual descriptions of encounters with God, like
Yeah.
very almost erotic descriptions of God and the divine. And
There's a reason why they call orgasm a little death. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
it's it's all, yeah. I
yeah,
mean,
yes,
right? French, no.
yes, and I that is yes, and I think that is what poems are orgasmic in that way, and that when you feel it,
Yeah.
you well, good poems anyways. When you feel it, you go on this, well, maybe I should say female orgasm. That when you feel it, it's like it's a journey and it has ebbs and flows, and then I'm not going to describe describe it, but
Yeah.
it does have that's what the
It can break you open. It
yes.
can break you open. I mean, it alters you depending on a lot of things, but
Mhm.
I mean, it's right next to the divine. I mean,
Yeah.
that might be the most Scorpio thing I'll ever say, but like to me, that it is, and it is. It's people have said it's a way of like beating death
Mhm.
or beating it for a moment. But I do think it is spiritual. It can be spiritual, depending on the circumstances, of course, and consent and
Right,
love, or
right.
a partner that you trust, or by yourself. Um, but yeah, no, there's a fine line, right? And I think it's tough too because some of the most erotic things are really about not, they're like insinuated in the same way that like Greek theater, the violence happens off stage and then you just
Mhm.
see the aftermath. So I'm very cognizant. Like sometimes I'm like, oh, some of my stuff is like, maybe I'm always like, oh, maybe some of it's too gratuitous, or, maybe it's sexier to say, to have the implication. It's almost like how an ankle was seeing a bare ankle
Right,
was,
right.
it's almost like the older I get and the more I interact with like smut or erotica, but I don't have any, I don't judge it. It's like
Mhm.
there are poems that I really just want to give to help people like have a certain, for a very like specific reason. And then there's other poems where I'm doing something totally different. So, um, or I'm just receiving it.
Yeah,
Uh,
channeler. Yeah, you're a
I mean, I'm
channeler.
always receiving it, but I think it's just, you know, I think I allow myself a little bit more leeway when I want I want to elicit a feeling, a visceral feeling in somebody. Um, Maybe there's a little bit more manipulation going on in the crafting of that at
Yeah.
times, but I don't think so. I just think a sexuality is also life force. Could also be duende or a version, an aberration of duende,
Mhm.
potentially. I don't know. Maybe that's
I don't
too
think so. I think it is like it is it is a sexual experience. I mean, when we think about, you know,
possession of some kind. I don't know, right?
definitely possession,
Yeah,
definitely channeling,
bodied.
out of body, like out of like in the body, but out of it at the same time. Like I
Mhm.
was listening to
Yeah.
this podcast, this supposed expert on poetry. He was interesting, but it was funny because he was on to be an expert on poetry. But he said that poetry is um, self-simultaneous. I think that's what he called it. So it's the idea, it's
Yeah.
trying to capture a moment, but it's described in many moments. But it's actually just one kind of feeling.
Yeah.
So it's like everything's happening all at once, but it's the description of that.
Yeah.
How do you describe a huge feeling or maybe
The
a smaller
immensity.
feeling?
No,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, but they are, it is immense. And that's why that when the form is so bare,
Mhm.
it can be the most affecting
Right.
because, and with line break, where a line breaks or doesn't, the dimensionality of a poem that's done masterfully, and I don't profess to be in that place. Some I have, there are moments where you drop in and drop out, but
Mhm.
I've heard it described if like a kiss is a kick in the head, like reading a really great poem is like getting the top of your head taken off. It
Ooh,
like
yeah.
readjusts your limited framework. And
Mhm.
and maybe it's something you feel intuitively, but then there's suddenly the words for it.
Yes.
And you feel less alone, or you feel there's this surge of um knowingness.
Mhm.
You know it. It's like when
Yeah.
you see something and you go, that's it. Like
Yes.
I don't know how else
Yes.
that's so reductive, but it is that it's like
It's
there
hard to
you are,
describe. Yeah.
there you are, you feel it.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah, the altering of self through art is so real. But it comes from that source, the
Mhm.
duende, because it isn't artifice or a manufacturing or a muscling of things. It's just like open heart, open mind, receiving of like what I would say. And again, if this is woo woo, like whatever, we need more woo woo.
Yes.
Like it's spirit or it's the collective consciousness. It's like we think of ourselves, especially in the Western world, as these individuals, and it's like no, we're just these like microbes in this ecosystem of that's why death happens. I think that's why death happens. It's like things have to die to bring in new life. So
Yes.
you die to make new room for the new life coming in, like a plant or a garden or
Mhm. Cycle and connection.
yeah. Um yeah. So but yeah, duende. It's really, and I love the emphasis though on the body though. That
Yes.
the body as like
Soles
the
of the feet. In
yeah.
the veins. Blood in
And
the
not
veins.
in the throat, but in the root.
Right. The root
Yeah.
ground. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, great. That's so now what I want to ask you. I love all that. That was very insightful. Thank you. I want to know which artists you feel have Duende for you. Like, when have you experienced Duende experiencing somebody else's art? And, how? Like, what was,
This I wrote down because I mean, we have people that mark us, right?
right?
But I mean, for me, it's like Billie Holiday singing Good Morning Heartache.
Yeah.
It's like the blues generally. I
Hmm.
think the blues and like flamenco. I
Hmm.
I saw flamenco once in Spain while I was studying through USC, and like the way that they like it's like they actually put like they it's almost like they stand taller because they stomp their feet into the ground, and like the way the vocals, I've never heard vocals where it sounds like you're crying
Yes. The tear
through.
in the voice. That's how Lorca described it. Yeah.
Yes, it is like it is keening, but it is beautiful and it's like a wail, and it's all everything is like down into the ground. So like flamenco, the blues, I mean Amy fucking Winehouse, come on.
Yes.
Robin Williams,
Hmm.
Channeler, um Plath, Wolf, I think that Maggie Nelson has duende coming out her ears.
Who's
She
Maggie
wrote
now? Remind me.
she wrote this beauty right here. I keep her nearby. It's called Bluettes.
That's
I
okay.
highly recommend it. It's
Poet?
very she's a writer and a poet. She teaches at Cal Arts or did. Um
I think Allie, my friend, I think Allie likes her a lot, maybe.
yeah, she it's a gut punch, the head taken off. It's all this,
Hmm.
but like I mean, it's partly the form of this book, Bluettes, but it's just like gut punch after gut punch after gut punch because they're small movements,
Hmm.
vignettes. So her her poetry infuses in her prose, and it's just um
So you like gut punches more than say like dreamy hypnotic type stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like to be confronted.
One day will confront you.
Yes. Yeah. Mhm. But if you can confront me in a lullaby, I mean, I've always said I love beautiful songs that say terrible things, that tell me terrible
Oh,
truths.
yes. You have
Um,
an example?
I feel like Tom Waits. I
Okay.
feel like,
Yeah.
oh, come on. I had to really, Laura Marling.
Oh, yeah.
So good at that.
So mystical and
Oh, yeah. Dark, dark though. I
dark,
mean,
dark
he
ballads.
loves minor chords. And so it's like,
Voice is so angelic. Yeah.
oh God, yeah. I like inversions. I mean, I think I like dialectical, like dual, like the things that seemingly don't go, that when they go together, it's more powerful.
Yeah. The
Like,
dark and light. Like that's what Lorca says about Duende. It's like the presence of opposites simultaneously.
yeah, and I like it because it's like an integrated alignment.
Mhm.
I think that like I think at least maybe this is not going to be revelatory a thought, but I think, we're in a very like bifurcated good, evil, right, wrong. Like it's just not simple. In fact,
Oh.
my favorite comedy is dark comedy because so very often tragedies, the line between tragedy and comedy is so thin.
Mhm.
Um, so this idea that like these spectrums are like so vast, it's like, no, everything's right like this all the time.
Mhm.
You're always on the edge of
Yeah.
everything all the time. That's like the human condition. So if it doesn't have both of those things, I'm not going to probably be.
Beckett does that. Samuel Beckett, I feel like, does that. There was something that he said about it was a quote where he was basically saying that life is like vibrating along the partition of
Mm,
like life and death. Like you're
mhm,
constantly, it's
mhm.
like what Lorca said that in Spain the dead are the most alive than in any other country because it's like you just feel the vibration of ghosts
Yeah.
around you, like in the earth. And I
Yeah.
feel like poets channel that energy when they're trying to describe nostalgia or mourning or like you like aching and longing. It's like a bittersweet. It's bittersweet. It's like both pain and ecstasy. And Dave, you like David White, right? The poet David White.
Oh,
David White. I was listening to his
just a tidbit. Did you listen
Yes,
to
I listened to
On
it a few
Being?
days ago.
Oh my
I've heard
God.
it many times, but I was
Yeah.
re-listening to it for this, and I was like, because I just wanted to get that thought. I was trying to find different podcasts about what poetry is, and there were a lot of duds. There were a lot of dud interviews
Just
about
talking about
it.
poetry is so like, it's like trying to pin the water down
Exactly.
or a
So I
cloud.
was,
Like,
yeah,
how do you,
yeah.
you, it's ancient. It's prayer. Poetry is like it's prayer.
Mhm.
Like to me, poets are prayerful. Like it's like you're just a vessel, like capturing some other, if you're lucky and if you're paying attention. And so much of it has to do with attention. But I think that's with any writer. I mean,
Right.
I think that's with any artist. I think you're tapping into something.
Mhm. Yes. And David
Yeah.
White was describing how the poetry that moves him the most, and that poetry that is the most impactful, in his opinion, is elegiac. It's like kind of like a celebration and mourning at the same time. It's like mourning for loss, but celebrating the fact that it's like what people say, like, you know, you have a sadness that something might have gone, like whether a person passes away or you break up with somebody or you lose a part of like if you lose something about your past or you change or something, but at the same time you celebrate that you got to experience that. So it's like a bittersweetness. It's like the presence of grief and celebration at the same time, which is what I feel like nostalgia is. And
Yeah.
nostalgia has kind of a negative connotation to it, but because it seems like an indulgence, but um, like an indulgence in sadness. That's not exactly what I mean, but it's like it's
Well,
a lot of poets and a lot of singers, songwriters, and musicians and just artists in general really tap into that the pain of just love and being sensitive and being vulnerable. And David White talked a lot about how vulnerability is the key to being a human, that just like you said, receiving, just opening yourself up to things like Duende, because it'll show you, it'll help you feel the mystery of life. It'll help you feel the mystery, the beautiful mystery of what it feels like to truly be alive. And that struggle, like Lorca says, the true struggle is with the Duende. That struggle is what it's all about.
yeah.
And a lot of people think that poets and artists have to suffer. So I don't, for their art, I don't think that's necessarily true. I don't mean, when I say struggle and wrestle, I don't mean that it's like suffering or, but it's
You're
painful.
grappling. You're grappling. You're questioning.
Mhm.
Hopefully, you're just asking questions
Yeah.
and not rushing to answers. I
Yeah.
want to go back to the nostalgia thing though, really quickly though, because I don't think it's self-indulgent because if what we know from like quantum physics, it's like time isn't real. It's just our perception of time. So like that means that like in another universe, like your past is always like here and the future is always here. So like you can be like maybe it's because you're experiencing like deja vu or like it's closer. It's like the past is closer than you think, and the future is like so you can like long for things
Mhm.
because they're probably still happening in some other like
Right,
universe,
right.
and then longing for things that haven't happened yet. But then of course then that's why we talk about like presence and just like trying to be where your feet are because that's when the channeling happens. So it's like, but yeah, I mean, we're gonna suffer either way. So
Yeah,
you might
yeah.
as well, you don't have. Here's the thing: when I was a younger artist, I absolutely was like, I indulged my melancholy. I thought it was an absolute, you know, necessity of my personality. It's like you actually don't have to seek it out; it's gonna find you either way, and so you might as well like, you know, I think I remember doing Joe Hacker's on camera class and we had to go into the like art library and like find characters that we would want to play and all of mine were like girls with like mascara down their face and they were crying or like girls like working girls and like back in the I don't know whatever just like downtrodden all black and white photos and he was like don't forget let the light in and I was like I mean yeah you're gonna like the thing is that you're gonna suffer it's part of the human condition you don't
Mhm.
have to seek it out for sure um
Hilarious.
sometimes you do
Good reminder, let the light in. Yeah.
yeah yeah but no David White's great he and I'm gonna totally botch this but he I think in that podcast with Krista Tippett who oh my god angel voice
Yes.
um
Yeah.
he talked about something like no, I'm gonna screw it up completely. But like you have to take off the shoes that like got you to where you are to walk the next. I don't know. And
Yes,
it's like
yes, yes. I
if
think I
it's
remember you saying that. Yeah.
yeah, and if it's too small, like if something's doesn't make you feel alive, doesn't make you come alive, it's too small for you.
Mhm.
Um,
He's a philosopher too, right? Like theologian in a way.
I think that his poems feel a little bit like there is a guiding hand on your back
Yes.
when you're
That's
reading
exactly
that.
it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
It's
so
not a
it's so
it's
comforting.
it is. I would say he's not confronting. He's like more, I got you.
Yeah,
yeah.
sure. I
Yeah.
love his voice too.
Mhm.
It's like
Oh my God.
Yorkshire Irish, like he's a mix of
I feel
both,
like he's your type.
for sure. For sure.
Sure, your
Isn't he like
type.
80 years old or something? Yeah,
I mean, I just
that's
mean
okay.
in terms of like ruggedness and like, I don't know. I thought this was my other necklace. Sorry, I'm like
It's okay.
futzing. No, but just like the quaff of like
Yeah,
sculpture
yeah,
and like he's Irish and I wish maybe had a pocket watch or something. I don't know, and like boots, like cow, like I don't know. I
sure.
see him
And
that's
embracing the mystery. He talked
yeah.
a lot about vulnerability and embracing the unknown. And that
Yeah.
to me is the hottest thing when
Mm,
somebody's like, I don't know, you know,
yeah.
like life's mysterious. Not in a way that's like they're just going to
Evasive.
float around,
Yeah.
but like, but that they're just accept that they don't know everything is really human and attractive in a way. Anyways, okay, so um okay, so it is National Poetry Month. And
Yeah.
this weekend actually is the LA Festival of Books in at USC. Did you ever
Oh,
go to it when you were here? Yeah.
mm-hmm. Hmm.
Um,
It's been a long time.
there's something that before we get to our, we have some listener examples
Yeah.
of um, Duende in words, lyrics, or lines of
Nice.
poetry. Um, well, why don't we do that now? Let's do
Yeah.
that,
Do
and
it.
I can just get your thoughts.
Yeah.
Okay, so I asked people on social media, and they DM'd me or commented. Um,
What they thought.
s- so, my friend Camilla, she mentioned Hallelujah by Leonard Cohen, just the whole thing. That's another one that's like the ache of beauty and suffering simultaneously.
Oh yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
You like Leonard Cohen? Do you like?
Oh, do I like him, the artist?
Mhm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. He he recently crossed over, didn't
Hmm.
he?
Hmm.
Yeah, so he's had a resurgence, especially that's the weird thing about social media. It's like all of a sudden you get like a face and a name and a voice to
Hmm.
that you might have been like writing alongside and you're like, oh, that's you. Okay, cool. Um, yeah, so I've been listening to a lot of his like interview snippets have been coming through. He read a poem called like about on marriage or something. It
Hmm.
was it was very honest. It was a very honest.
Listen, Katie is symbolically stabbing herself in the chest.
Yeah. Yeah, it was gutting. I mean, because it was honest, it was real. Again, about the light and the dark
Yeah.
of the marriage.
And people very famously misinterpret that song. It's always sung as like this kind of beautiful, almost like a hymn, but
Oh,
it's about the is a sex worker killed in the song, or is it about never, I don't know, I need to revisit it. But
but I don't know, but that's like the unicorn, that's like the Trojan horse, right? It's like you put it to a beautiful melody, and I hopefully people are actually listening to the words, but I guess not everybody is, but it is sort of like this little magician's trick of like getting people to consider heavier subject matter.
right, right.
Um,
Put some
with
broccoli in the mac and cheese. Yeah.
I
So she also mentioned Neil Young's song Helpless, which I was not familiar with, but are you familiar with that song?
don't think so.
It's the the lyrics, it's a lot of repetition of helpless, helpless. Yellow moon on the rise, big birds flying across the sky, throwing shadows on our eyes, leave us helpless, helpless. The chains are locked and tied across my doors. Sing with me somehow. Blue windows behind the stars. Leave us helpless, helpless. I like that vulnerability. It's like an embracing and like an like observation of vulnerability, which we were talking about before, that you have to be open to receive the pain of life and how it makes you appreciate it more, I guess.
And not let it embitter you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Without like toxic positivity slant, whatever. I mean, like you should grieve and not and let and feel
Mhm.
that loss
For sure.
and let it alter you, but
Mhm.
um not should, but must.
Yeah.
Um I liked the lyric find some way to sing with me, or I'm mincing it already, but that was the one that had the duende for me.
Mhm. Sing with me somehow.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah, the invitation. Duende invites. As much as it confronts, it also invites. It's kind of like a seducer
Mhm.
in a
Mhm.
way.
Mhm.
Um, I've been listening to a lot of this, this band that I'm obsessed with, Ghost. They
Mhm.
have a new album out that dropped today. And one of the one of the lyrics that I love that he just opens and it's like it's totally embracing the cheese of 80s hair metal, which is just I love it so much. And one of the first lines that he says, it's a heartbreak song or like a breakup song. And one of the lines he says is ripping through every poem like a vampire should. Yes, ripping through, visceral.
I'm a vampire.
That to me is Duende, like just intro like the first line of the song, ripping, even mentioning a poem.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. My twin sister said, she said words, phrases of words, fiery, where is it? Melodic fire,
Mm,
fiery melody.
mm.
Melodic fire. That sounds like automatically think of melody. I think of music. So it's like a fiery music. But again, it's that opposite because you don't think of fire as being melodic, but the
Right.
presence of opposites seems to be the key here.
I mean, fire has a music to it for sure. Just the way
Mhm.
it sounds when it's crackling and
Yeah.
or when it goes. I mean, it's very musical
Mhm.
as
You
an
talk
element.
about being altered. It's a chemical of alteration or chemical. What is it? Is that the right word? No, it's a element of alteration. Fire. The elements. Do you pay attention to like is Scorpio a fire sign?
Scorpio is water.
Water. It is?
Hmm.
Maybe I
Very
was,
emotive.
yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Interesting. Do you feel like a total
I feel
Scorpio?
I mean, I think Scorpio gets a bad rap. I think when you look at signs, there are three versions of each sign. It's like unevolved, getting more evolved, and then like the rising. And not to be confused with your rising sign, but like an ascend. No, I'm saying I don't want to confuse. Okay,
Yeah.
so like there's like signs and tendencies, and then maybe those tendencies as you grow become the possibility of like you could regress, but hopefully you're like evolving out of some of the
Hmm.
things. I'm a fixed sign though. I don't know what that means. I guess it means I'm
I'm
immovable.
immutable. I don't, I love astrology, but I have not researched that aspect of it yet.
I mean, I have like an Angelino gay understanding of astrology, and like so far like it's a good way to like open a first date and like flirt or like yeah, like I could never be with you, you're a Pisces or whatever, like I don't know. Like I'm so like
Still have Angelino, even though you're New York. Do you consider yourself a New Yorker now?
I lived in LA for 10 years and it
Yeah.
made me into who I feel like that I am. So I consider myself an Angelino still. I always say I'm a recovering Angelino. Um,
Not enough gray skies for your Scorpio musings.
I mean, I do like living with the seasons because it forces you to confront the cycle of death and rebirth in like a very like you're moving with seasons,
Mhm.
although what are seasons anymore, as we know?
Right. God.
Yeah.
Okay,
Um,
so the next one. My friend Jillian. Sorry, I totally cut you off.
Oh
So,
my God, please.
my friend Jillian, she's a great horror podcast called Into the Catacombs that I
Ooh.
was just on. with our friend Veronica talking about Phantom of the Opera. Um,
Ooh.
she said, one of my favorite quotes that I feel my soul latches onto is from Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas by Hunter S. Thompson. The quote, too weird to live, too rare to die. First time I read it, I was 15, I think. I was immediately drawn to it.
Can you say it one more time again?
Too weird to live, too rare to die.
Yeah. But again, it's that tension
Yeah.
between these things. It's like it's it's sort of yeah, there's a tension there. Like something could happen. What's going to happen next?
hmm
Kind of
And
feeling.
again, like vibrating along the partition, like you just
Mhm.
feel like you're in limbo and it's like existing in life in between realms. Like you don't fit into one specific category, but there's like a, because you have such a unnameable like energy because it's you can't define your uniqueness and um people are wary of the unnameable.
I
And
know.
so I love that she pulled that quote because that's what it feels like to be an outsider, to be an artist, sometimes to be that sometimes, not every artist feels that way, but um the people like
I think they
outliers.
feel that way until they find their people.
Hmm. Yeah.
They're like kindreds. I mean, I think that's like I feel and that could take a longer time sometimes.
Mhm.
Uh,
I love
yeah.
that. Yeah, the presence of the opposites, that just that, yeah, like you said, the tension of living in that in between. Um, Sabina said, an Emily Dickinson line, hope is the thing with feathers. And that is why I have my little Dickinson. So this TV show, I think I recommended it to you guys, but
I
you,
I did watch it because of you. At least I started season one and I was very taken with it. So
yeah,
thank you.
this is Emily.
Mhm.
My virtual background listeners is of Haley Steinfeld playing Emily Dickens, a young Emily Dickinson, resting her head on Death's shoulder, played by Wiz Khalifa. Is that who is that? That's Wiz Khalifa,
You're
right?
right.
Um, and I just love in that show her relationship with death.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and yeah, Sabina's quote, "Hope is the thing with feathers." So Duende. It has.
Yeah, but that's so soft. I don't know. It doesn't feel again, but I think this is my tendency to want to be like confronted.
Mhm.
I mean, it does release something in me.
Mhm.
It
Has
opens
movement in it. Yeah.
a passage.
It is pretty sounding, which is it's one of Emily Dickinson's prettier lines.
Mm-hmm.
But it does have it has this like kind of fleeting nature. Like hope is it's
Yeah,
brewing something in that it's like about to take flight, right? Like you think of a bird about to take flight, but at the same time it could fly away. It's not necessarily something that you can hold on to. So it has like that the possibility of escape or abandonment. So
yeah.
yeah. Um, let's see. I just Emily Dickinson, a lot of her stuff is so
Um,
Duende. She was like OG Duende conjurer. Poor thing got, misinterpreted for being hysterical or mad.
you mean like every woman since time immemorial?
Exactly.
Lock her
Yeah.
up because she's talking too much about things we don't want the other women to know.
Yes. Exactly.
It's it's just
Oh, don't get me started.
I know.
Um, and I love that the poems that you sent that you said had duende, there was one that talked about like kind of, I don't think they said the word delicious, but it was like a madness. Um,
Oh, it was the thing about danger.
Here it is. No, duplicity
Oh,
by
yeah.
Jameson Fitzpatrick.
Oh, yeah,
Whenever I
that's
am in one conversation, I'm thinking about another. Whatever room I am in, my heart is not. Before a mirror, which face is true? The one that moves or the one that is moved? I flip a coin and wish for the opposite. There's those opposites. Life, friends, is whoring. A warning a man mistakes for intimacy. When I miss my madness, which I mostly don't, I miss how totally I was inside it, the idea I could not get out. Oh my God, that is so full Duens.
Yeah.
Full, like you said, jumping in when I miss my madness, which I mostly don't. I miss how totally I was inside it. The idea. See, that's another thing about the Duende and conjuring and being creative. It's like, where's the line? You know, how far do you let your Duende take you over? When is
Right.
it dangerous
Mhm.
to
Yeah.
your well-being and your soul? Because it is on the edge of, it's on the pit of death. It's on the pit of, it does have this dangerous aspect to it. And I don't know, what do you think about that? Is there any time that you were like, whoa, too much duende? I need to kind of
Mm.
take control.
I think I think writing through I think there have been times where I felt rageful or anger, and I think coming back after I don't feel angry to I don't know that like the fits of anger feel safe. I think it almost like I have to come at a rage
Mhm.
safely like the next day. It's like it because just raw emotion is not enough to be worthy.
Mhm.
Um, I think when I get around subject matter that is has higher stakes, I can pull back a little bit more.
Mhm.
Um, I don't think that I've ever, I mean, I think anytime I don't think I've ever felt, I'm trying to think of a time where like life and limb felt threatened. I mean, I think mentally for
Mhm.
sure, emotionally, sure. Yeah, no, I guess that's true. I think there have been fits and bursts and things that are on the edge.
In
But I,
poetry, there is a romanticization of the madness of it. I mean, I
Mhm,
definitely romanticize it. Sometimes I still do. The
mhm,
idea of losing control and being on the outskirts of, the status quo because I'm in touch with something that has made me feel ecstatic. But at the
mm,
same time, it's like that's not really great for the art of it, is it? There has to be about like what David Lynch in the Nathan's episode about Love and Duende, David Lynch said, he quoted David Lynch saying that you don't have to suffer for art. So I guess we're going back to that
yeah.
thing.
I think I've gotten as I've gotten older, I again like I think I used to hold my melancholy as like a part of my identity that was too maybe too important.
Hmm.
I mean, we're sensitive creatures. I think feeling has been so bastardized to the
Hmm.
point where the brain, especially in the Western world, the brain is everything, cognition is everything, and understanding the psychology. No, it's like get embodied, get in your heart. Your
Yeah.
body knows a lot that the head will never fucking get.
Right.
And feeling is not a bad, scary thing.
Hmm.
It can be, but like I think that to be cut off from one's feelings is to be already dead.
Hmm.
We're here to feel and have the full range of human experience. And so to a lot of us cut ourselves off from feeling anything because we've been told it's scary and bad. So
Right.
I don't want to say it's dangerous because I
Right.
think
Right.
there's enough of that out in the Western world. I
Yeah.
actually think that we're so caught off from our emotions, we're not taking care of each other anymore. So
That is such a good point.
I think that feeling is the thing. I think that to be responsible and to sit with people when they're going through something dark, that's like a gift to that person. I think the loneliness that we feel is because we don't feel free to feel in front of each other or be vulnerable in front of each other. So I just want to say that like give it up to Duende, like give it up to the feelings because like we need that. Like um that's like what we're here to do. Um and it's not so bad. I mean, no feeling is final. You'll ride it out and then you'll have another feeling. And great. That's great. Oops. Sorry, I don't know who
They
just
were agreeing. Your computer was like, yes,
I'm
we
so
agree.
sorry. Um,
No, I love that. That's
you know
that.
what I mean?
Mhm.
Because like, you know, I'm not saying feel all over everybody and don't contain yourself
Right,
and don't
right.
know how to regulate.
Balance.
I'm not saying, but I'm saying like, my God, we're here. Rainn Wilson says it, and I fucking love him, and I love him so much because we're so cut off from spirituality and feeling and all these things that have been our the feminine, divine feminine. It's all bullshit. He said we're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings here having a human experience.
Oh, interesting.
And like while we have bodies to feel, like let's feel. And pain, that includes pain too. Like everybody's terrified of pain. It's like, no, like oh my gosh.
Agree.
Like, and I'm not saying again, like, don't harm anybody, but like
Right, right.
feel your damn feelings because if you don't go and let them feel and move through you, it's just going to stay inside of you and wreck you in
Side.
not a good way. So
Yeah.
I think this whole like, you know, I feel I think everybody needs to feel more and I think we'll show up for each other better. I think empathy is like the ability to feel, you know, what other people might be going through. Um, so I think
I would say
encourage,
like true empathizers. Like
yeah,
that's their job, and that's why it's not their
yeah,
job. It's not like their job, but I feel like that's their vocation. I
but
definitely as
actors
a poet
too.
myself, I feel that vocation.
Yeah.
Like
Any
really,
artist, any
yeah,
artist,
yeah.
because
Articulate that
yeah,
all of those different varieties of human emotion and feeling. And so that's what something that I was really interested in asking you about, because so much thinking about National Poetry Month and how poetry has become, since Instagram.
oh yes.
You post on Instagram. I love reading your poems on Instagram. There's so much great poetry on Instagram, but
I was
in
doing it before it was cool.
yeah, and that you were always my biggest supporter when I posted poems on Instagram or Facebook, and I really appreciated that. And it's become its own little community on
Yeah.
social media, but it also has become commodified in a way and uh, almost too universal that oh, I don't want
Water.
to say that, but it's just like there's too much content. Sometimes it feels like, uh, and
Well,
and
yeah.
so what I wanted to ask you was, how do you navigate through the commodification of poetry? Like Amanda Gorman did a really great job, I think, she didn't intentionally do this, but when she said her poem at the inauguration, Biden's inauguration, it was like this resurgence of interest in poetry and what the role of poetry could be. It could be like a national communicator, it could be an articulator of emotion and community. Um, and so people became more interested in the role of poets and poems. And, but at the same time, it's interesting the way that it's being used on social media, where it has just like all things on social media, it's both positive and negative. But the thing that I experienced, I'm going to get really real with you. So
Please.
I used to post, I used to post poems on social media, Instagram, and I loved engaging with people. I loved people's responses. I loved sharing it. It was a fun way to communicate, especially when I was going through my health stuff, I couldn't go out as much. So it was a way of like connecting with people about my writing. And I don't know when the transition happened. Um, Maybe when poetry became really, really popular, or the idea of this is going to sound judgy, but it's not. But like Rupi Kaur poetry, like poetry that has like a almost a self-helpy type of feel that was overly simplified. To me it feels overly simplified. Some of it's really beautiful, and I'm not saying simple poetry is not uh, valid or anything, but poetry
It's
started to
some of
lean.
the mystery. I think it can water down some of the reason why poetry can be so incredible is because it's mysterious.
Yeah,
It's post like when we are confronted with poetry for the first time in like school, for better or for worse, our school systems are not doing a great job.
yeah.
In any direction, that's not the fault of teachers in any stretch of the imagination. poems are supposed to sort of trip you up.
Yeah.
Uh, and everyone's like, I don't get it. It's like you're not supposed to get the poem's supposed to get you. like
Exactly. I love that.
like
Yeah.
that's it.
And
That's the
that is, I don't know if that's if that is just a value or if it's a
it's a
preference
preference.
based thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I definitely, maybe that's why we connect so much, because I totally agree with you about that. Like those type, like the Rupi Kaur type of poetry totally has its place. Some of it's really beautiful. But I noticed, this is what my question is. I noticed when I would post things, when I started to write poems, I started to think about how they would be received on social media. So I started to alter how I was writing, because I would be like, this is too sad for Instagram. I'm going to take that line out. Or I'm going to change this so that the protagonist ends on a high note. Because if it's too sad, nobody will click like on it. Or that it's too dark, or it's too sexual, or it's too complicated. I need to make it, I need to do enough lines so that it fits into one little square on Instagram, because people like things that are more simple. And I was like, this is disturbing. Why am I changing my poetry so that it'll get more likes on Instagram? And so I just stopped doing it. And now I just write poems, you know, for myself, and I don't post it anymore, which makes me a little bit sad, but I need to like, because I loved that engagement, but I need to like figure out how to navigate through that and just be like, I don't care if nobody likes it. I'm just going to put it up there because I want to share the complexity, because I love when people share their poems. So I wanted to ask you, like, because you do post yours on social media, and it's a great way for people to be. I think yours is so unique, and it's so uniquely visceral and intimate, and I love that it's on there, and your page is incredible. How have you ever had that problem of navigating through, oh, how is this gonna be received on social media? Or is it just like, I'm just writing the poem and I'm posting it, whatever?
Well, I blocked my mom, so she can't follow
Oh,
me. So I took that right out. I was like, there's nobody, nobody, anybody that should not know that I wouldn't want to know me that
mhm.
way. I don't. It's really just my mom. I mean, once you take the mom out of the equation, I'm fine. It's like I have no shame around my sexuality uh,
Mhm.
or what I write. But I did need to block my mom to take that anxiety out of the equation.
Mhm.
Sorry, mom. Um, no, I mean, look, it's interesting that you say, Megan, and I don't mean to like psychoanalyze, but I do want to a little bit because and I get this because social media is set up insofar as like it's set up to make us compare. That's
Mhm.
literally what it's set out to do. And it's interesting because you're like, I don't know if I'm being judgy, but it sounds like there was a judgment maybe at some point when things got watered down, which is totally, totally valid. But then almost like you turn that judgment on your own work.
Mhm. Yeah, for sure.
And like, you know, I think that you should never. I mean, yeah, I think your instincts were right to take it off the to get off the gram as soon as it was uh hurting the integrity of your work because but then sometimes I think like I started writing fridge smut but it wasn't for the gram. It was because, okay, let me back up. I only started posting on my Instagram. This is years ago. This is like 10 years ago. I only started doing it because I didn't know what else to do with it. And I
Right.
had to, like, I felt again, it was like a
Describe for the listeners what fridge smut is. You take
oh,
the fridge
sorry.
magnets and
Okay.
arrange them
Yeah. So
words.
before fridge smut, which is just me making, okay. First, there was poetry, which was just because I was trying to basically like seduce a girl
Mhm.
is now my wife. Um, and it worked, but no, basically I was like, she was sort of ungettable. And so I was sharing the poems because I was really just trying to like, again, it was a specific audience. I had like a very specific audience. I was just trying to connect with her on some level. And so it was really just out of desperation and need that I started sharing stuff on Instagram. So there's that over here. Then I started doing fridge smut because I started getting in my head and I
Mhm.
started judging my work too. Because if you can see data, like how many likes, then you start getting, yeah, you do start to try to like gamify it a little bit. So I think we're all guilty of that. But I started doing fridge smut because it got me out of my own way because it was so visceral and tangible and it was play. And I wasn't like, I was just moving magnets around on my fridge and it was funny because it was like erotica, but it was on my fridge and like my roommate could see it. And like it was so innocent and innocuous and just really meant to get me out of my own way and unblocked.
Mhm.
I've seen other writers, they have these like little like blocks that they keep near their desk to do the same thing. It's like when it becomes motor skills based and like you feel like a little kid
I was gonna
and
say,
you're
yeah, really playful.
yeah,
I
it
went to that event where you did it in
yeah,
Savannah, and I just loved watching you do it. It was like in real time, like watching you channel the playfulness in real time. And
yeah.
that's what poetry, that vibrance of the channeling process can be really fun. It
Yes.
doesn't have to be all intense. It can be fun and playful.
Yeah. Yeah, but Instagram is a whole thing. It can totally dilute and bastardize and I think that's the tension again, though, tension between like art and commerce, like, you know, or like getting a following, or like, I think that it's what was David White saying, or somebody was saying, like, you know, please yourself. Don't worry about pleasing others. Your audience will find you. It's sort of like that thing. And you
What
should,
Allen Ginsberg said, like, if you
Ginsburg,
stay
yeah.
true to yourself, that will be, or no, did Kerouac tell Ginsberg? One of them said it. If you stay true to yourself, if you just do you, that will be unique because
Right.
it's you. That will be what's new because it's you yourself. Let
But
it
see,
come.
that's what's tricky though, because sometimes people go to MFA programs or they go to school, and like actually the thing that the teachers will tell you is like the thing that makes you unique. They'll tell you to stop doing it.
Right, because they're trying to create a conservatory or
Or a conservatory, or I
an
don't know. I've just
ensemble,
heard
maybe.
like you have to be really careful when you're young because you're so impressionable as an artist, and it's like just take the feedback, take what is useful and let the rest go. Because I used to like die on the sword of feedback.
Oh
Um,
God, I still do. Are you kidding?
uh,
Such a
I don't
Virgo about it. I'm so terrible. I'm like,
know. I can. I mean, I got to check my ego sometimes still, but like I don't die on it anymore. If I feel like I can still maintain my voice because I know my voice now, but when
ah,
I don't. If I think it's useful, one of the best pieces of feedback I got from a teacher recently, and she said like, remember like what is pertinent and what is distracting from your work.
mhm.
Like anytime you think you're being clever, like you should probably check yourself.
Yeah, yes,
Like, and that's ego though. That's ego though. It's
right.
like,
I love that. The cleverness. Like
yeah, it's
to me, there's
tricky.
only like a few people who can be clever, like Oscar Wilde, like
Like David Sedaris. But
yes.
it's humor though, and it
Yeah.
serves the work. If it serves the work, but it but I feel like people are channeling in jokes. Like you're either
Oh,
channeling
sure.
jokes or you're not. Like so
For
trying to
sure.
be like I'm not a writer that's really funny. Like I'm only ever funny at my own expense. Like I get a laugh with this one poem that I do because I talk about my eagerness being dick pic like backlit, horrifying. Like it's funny because it's fucking embarrassing, but it's like it's not because I was trying to be funny. I was just being honest about
Back of it.
like how grotesque my horny eagerness was in a moment of do you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Like I'm never funny because I'm funny. I'm funny because it's embarrassing or
Oh, you're so funny. Are you kidding? We've laughed
I'm
so much.
not.
That
I
video,
mean, we're goofy.
favorite
We're
video of all
goofy.
time, Colorado with your high kick. Oh my God. Inside
I
joke.
could I could riff with you and Gigi all day. I mean, that's just like
Oh,
I would just
our
I
play about poets.
talk about kindreds. I would love to go away with you guys and do a writing retreat again, just the three of us, just for fun.
God, that would be so fun.
My God, joy. just joy.
Gods of grants and money.
But
Please.
I slept better. I slept better at night knowing you were up there pounding away. Like I knew I was like, Megan's like,
Oh,
I'm gonna sleep so good. Like,
you guys, I was on the top floor writing away, and Gigi and Katie were sleeping under the floor below. I could hear you guys giggling in the night.
I love her so much.
Oh,
I mean, I love you both so much. Just
that was a special time.
it was.
Okay, so we've gone quite long.
I knew we would.
I
It's us.
know, I know,
Yeah.
right? Let's play a quick game of Duende this or that.
Okay.
So
Hopefully I
this
know
is,
the references.
oh, you will. So, and you, if any come to mind,
Okay.
to ask me, go ahead.
Yeah.
I usually just do three,
Okay.
but so you guys, this is a game where I ask one topic or another. Which one has more Duende, or which one do you prefer based on the topic of the episode? So, the conversation. So the first one, which was kind of the conflict of our poetry play,
Mm,
spoken word poetry or reading poetry to yourself.
I can't choose. I can't choose.
Which one do
I
you
mean,
think has more Duende?
we're going off Duende, it's spoken, of
Yeah.
course. Of course,
Mhm.
because poetry is meant to be, it's an oral tradition. I mean, really, truly. That's how people passed poems down.
Yeah.
So yeah, of course I'm gonna go spoken, but I can't like choose either or.
Yeah, yeah.
But spoken word was how I fell in love with it.
Mhm. All right. Some words that I love and I know that you love that are in poetry and that I've used in poetry, duende this or that, moon or honey.
Gotta go, honey.
Honey.
I've used honey way way
It's a
more.
great word. Talk about duende word. I love honey. It's such a good descriptor of feeling and
Yeah,
viscous nature of everything.
yeah, yeah.
Such a strong connotation,
I'm
but
I hate to say this, but I'm kind of over the moon right now.
yeah. I use the moon so much. I love it. I will never get tired of it. I don't.
I'm actually never over the moon. I think of myself, I think of some people as the sun and some people as the moon. I'm a moon person
Mm.
for sure.
Mhm.
Um, no, I'll never be over the moon. I'm
No, I
totally
know
joking.
what you mean though. It is overused, but I love it. I'm obsessed with La Luna.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think I used it the other day in a poem, so I'm being totally hypocritical.
that's
I
we
totally
contradict. We contain. What's the Walt Whitman? I
multitude.
contain multitudes. Yeah. Um. Okay. Romantic or real? That's pretty. I'm talk about. Would you say bifurcation? Like I'm totally. Those don't always have to be one or the other, but because a lot of romantic things feel really real and a lot of real things feel very romantic. But is there one that you lean more towards in terms of duende possibilities?
I think I'm gonna have to go real.
Hmm. I knew you would. I knew you would.
Mhm.
That visceral touching in the moment.
Mhm.
I would go romantic, honestly. I love over the top melodrama, awe-inspiring, ecstatic, divine. I love
Mhm.
all that. That stuff can be real as well, but the romanticism is my thing. That's all I have for that. Did you have any for me?
Hmm. I'm just gonna turn this into a game of hot or not. So, or like Megan's type or not, like Pedro Pascal or
Yes. Yes. Number one. Number one.
or Javier Bardem.
Pedro. I love
Okay.
Javier Bardem, but I respect him more as an actor than a
Cause
like
see, I
a
would go Javier.
oh.
I know he can keep Penelope Cruz happy, so
Oh.
that's probably.
Yeah,
I
that's
just I just love him. I just think he's
Yeah, he's great.
yeah.
He's a huge heavy metal fan. I had no
Is
idea.
he?
He was somebody posted a
Oh,
video
cool.
on Instagram talking about how much they love. There's a video of him at like a, I forget which, Judas Priest, I think, and he's just rocking out, just losing his mind. Talk about letting the Duende take over.
Yeah.
He just loves heavy metal. And I was like, Javier
He's more
Bardem?
he's like more Duende than Pedro Pascal. Pedro Pascal is like
He's so sweet.
so sweet. Not rooted. He's rooted for sure,
Mhm.
but and not that lightness can't be Duende. I don't want
Right.
to I just think I'm more drawn to dark matter Duende. Um I'm working on not. I just, it's just maybe I think our points of entry can be
Dark
different.
is also sacred. Just because you are baptized in dark waters does not mean you are
Thank
not
you.
also sacred.
Under a blood moon.
Yes. Oh, Lorca. He's so emo. I love him.
Again, more feeling. It's good. It's not
Mhm.
dangerous. It's how you know you're friggin' here.
Mhm.
Um, yeah. Oh my gosh. Well, now I just want to go get coffee with you
I know.
and a
I love
retreat.
our little coffee dates. Well, I would drink tea because I would go insane if I had coffee, but
No more coffee, no more at all.
never had it. I had it once in college on a
And
first date, my first week of school, and I
I'll go into Paul.
didn't know how much I had, and I lost my mind. I thought I was gonna have a heart attack.
Oh
Never
no.
again. Never again. I
Is that
like
the
the smell of it though.
so good?
Yeah. I do associate you with coffee. Like, yeah.
Yeah, the addictive. No, I only have like 2 to 3 cups a day now. I also get jittery now.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And anything that plays into anxiety or the tendency to feel
Mm-hmm.
thoughts, I
Hmm.
avoid like the plague.
That's
Alcohol, caffeine, too much of anything, I don't.
hmm.
It's sparkling water now, which can't harm me. Doesn't make
Mm,
me anxious.
yeah. Has a little literal
Put a little
spark.
lemon in it. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. It's
Flavor.
effervescent. It's
You're
a
all
little
about flavor. You're all about flavor and taste. I love it. So do I.
the
All right,
senses,
dude. Well,
sensory.
this was amazing.
Yeah, thank you so
So
much.
insightful. Such a beautiful time. I loved using this as a way to catch up.
Yeah, hell yeah. I miss you.
I miss you too. We
They're
should do more
missable,
Duende
missable.
conversations that just aren't recorded.
Why don't we just do it? Let's send me a line of a poem. Let's start it
Yes.
up. Let's go.
And then, yeah. See, oh my God, I just fought the impulse. I was like, and then we'll post it. I'm like, no, don't post it.
I mean, if it's good, we can.
Okay.
We don't.
Our exquisite corpse.
I
Great
love you
idea.
so much.
Love you, dude. Thanks for all the insights and for the poeticizing. Oh, right, your chapbook. Your chapbook's coming out.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's called smut.
Mhm.
Uh, it's, just an amalgamation of erotica that I've written over the years and also recently. Some stuff that's already been published. Um,
Your
yeah.
Instagram is
Oh,
HR
her. Wait, what is it?
underscore
It's
perverse.
it's her underscore perverse
Perverse.
or pervverse.
Perverse. Yeah.
Either
I'll put it
way.
in the post, you guys. I'll put it in the post so you can see it. Is the chapbook going to be available for purchase?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's going to be available. So my friend Ashley Melesso is publishing it with her publication Wet Press, very aptly
Oh, name.
named.
Yeah.
And it's going to be available in her shop called Everywhere Shop out of Kingston, New York. And then it's going to be in like a couple of bookstores. And, we'll do like a small run. It's just a chapbook. And then we'll go from there.
Awesome.
I'll make
I'm
sure
so
you get one.
excited. Yes. I'm so excited.
Okay.
Congratulations. I've loved seeing your poetry journey.
Thanks, Megan.
So beautiful and visceral and flavorful. And I love you.
I love you so, so much. Let's get back into co-writing our poems together.
Yes.
Okay.
Let's go full Duens together.
Please. I love you so much. I'll text you after this.
Okay.